Welcome back to Newslink. Now, 1 in 5 people in some South African cities live in informal housing. This is according to the South African Cities Network State of the Cities report. Now, it focuses on the 9 largest municipalities and their development issues. The report also found nearly half of Cape Town and Johannesburg residents live on 1,300 Rand a month. Let's unpack this further with the South African Cities Network CEO, Sithole Mbanga. Thank you very much for your time this morning. Maybe give us a broader sense of some of the salient things that were highlighted in the report about the state of these major cities that you looked at.
Yeah, no, thanks very much and good morning to the viewers out there. So I think we publish this report every 5 years following the term of office of each of the councils and just generally the local government landscape. I think that's the first important thing to say. So the report that is the 2021 report is a follow-up on the 2016 report, which 2016 report had put a position that if we are to develop as a country and be efficient in our development, we need to put cities at the center of development. But between 2016 and 2021, I mean, the one thing that we noticed as we continue to undertake the study, prior publication, was that in fact, cities are being sidelined. In other words, the sphere of local government is not playing a meaningful role or is not being enabled to play a meaningful role. Hence, the report now is talking about the need for an all-of-society approach to how it is that we are to achieve intergovernmental relations, government-society relations, government-to-business relationships. And I think it's a very important shift that we have had to make as a consequence of the observations that we were making over the last 5 years of the study. Importantly, and you're asking about the salient points, what we have observed is that actually, despite the pressure that the municipalities, particularly the large cities, have faced over the last 5 years, we're talking about economic slowdown, instability when it comes to sources of revenue. You're talking about the impact of COVID and many others. Cities have continued to deliver services, right? What we could argue from time to time is the extent to which the quality of those services was good or bad, and that varies from one city to the other. Secondly, the fact that cities have managed to be resilient also re-emphasizes the point that we made in 2016, that if we are to get out of the slump, the socio-economic slump that we're in, we have to utilize cities. They are possibly the best levers in the government system that we have in order for us to get out of where we are.
No, absolutely. And I mean, as you say that, because I wanted to go into issues of governance, but you've raised something which I find very interesting in terms of the resilience of the cities and their ability to turn South Africa's economic situation around. How does a city even begin to do that?
Well, let me just give you my personal take on that one, and it's not necessarily in the report. As a country, we are faced with huge housing challenges, right? There's a huge in-migration from non-urban areas into urban areas. There's secular migration. There's also inter-country migration from people migrating from other countries into South Africa, and that has put a lot of pressure on the aspect of human settlements. Secondly, we've got a huge public mobility or public transportation challenge, right? Thirdly, we've got a huge energy challenge as a country generally, and I think as cities. Now, if you were to take the combination of those three things, right, and if we were to look at those three issues and devise a way in which we could work them, one of the things that will happen is that, one, we will be able to boost the economy. Secondly, by virtue of being able to boost the economy, we will be able to create jobs, which are necessary at this point in time. So working on the human settlements element with the aim of ensuring that there is huge connectivity within and between the cities through a better public transportation system that relies on greener energy will surely take us one huge step forward towards getting us out of the current slump that we're in. That is just by one example. However, what the report then says that if you were to do something like that, you can't have government doing it all on its own. You need everybody, right, to put shoulder to the wheel and to come to the game with their skin. Because at this point in time, or at least for a considerable amount of time since democracy, it seems we have relied and over-relied on government. And even when government says, look, our sources of revenue as government generally, and therefore the kitty at National Treasury is running dry, we've continued to want to rely on government. And we've been very reluctant to be innovative, to try to find solutions to the types of problems that government is saying is unable to deal with it on their own.
What did you observe in the report when it comes to governance from 2016 to the release of this latest report? Have we found a deterioration in issues of governance, or have you found that there are some pots of good governance in the major cities?
So surely governance has been a big challenge in the last 5 years. On the one hand, the new model of governing that the cities have had to contend with, which is coalitions. And where you don't see coalitions, there have been fractions within political organizations that have been given the responsibility to govern those respective cities. So there's been a lot of disunity generally, right? Now, when you have disunity, the tendency is that you tend to pull in one direction, which is opposed to another direction within that same institution. And so governance tends to be compromised. So the report is very clear about the fact that governance has been compromised, much more so in the last 5 years. And it's something that has been coming. Obviously, once governance is compromised, there are cracks in the system that then allow for misbehavior, for corruption, for lack of accountability to slip through the system because the governance pillars are themselves weakened. And that has been the sad story, which is something that I think we are going to have to turn around. At this stage, and I think as you would have observed in the local government elections, many more now of municipalities are being governed by coalition. And I think there has been a call that the government or the state needs to start protecting municipalities from how it is that coalition governments are taking place. In other words, we need to put, and very quickly do so, we need to put a guide on how coalition governments are going to be taking place. At this point in time, it's a free-for-all, right? How coalition governments in one municipality is taking place vis-a-vis another municipalities, it's a free-for-all, and we need guidance, and I think municipalities need guidance as quickly as possible.
No, absolutely. Thank you very much there. That is South African Cities Network CEO Sithole Mbanga joining us to speak about the state of South Africa's major cities and really the improvements that need to be made there. Let's go.